Let's make a statement necklace with labradorite gemstone set in brass. We have a cool sponsor today, this month's craft, and a very exciting product, more on them later. This is my first time setting the stone in brass. I hope that seeing the mistakes I made in this project will help you avoid them. I will be using this 3 mm thick brass wire for the necklace. It will go around my neck. A little sneak peek into my brass supplies. As you can see, I have lots more as I'm working with brass more often now. I'll try using this thin brass tape for the bezel. It's about 0.25 mm. It's quite flexible and I'm curious how it's going to work. I'm also using a thin wire to make a little mock-up of the necklace and check the desired size and length. This is where I'd like the necklace to sit. Now let's cut the thick wire to the size. So these are our main brass supplies today. 3 mm thick round wire, thin tape, and the brass sheet. I went for a 0.4 mm. Let's not forget about the star of the show, a labradorite gemstone cabochon. I believe I have something just right for this project. Sitting among my other gems is this glorious and massive labradorite. It's beautiful, but right now it's too big for silver. With the prices skyrocketing, I think it will look wonderful paired with gold color of brass. The tape is easily wrapped around the gem, but it's too tall, so I'm going to mark the height about a millimeter above the gem. I'll mark where the bottom part is and cut the bezel using the marked line. The shape doesn't matter for soldering as long as the walls meet. You can later shape it again around the gem. Fits very well, so now I'll use little nail scissors to remove excess bezel and cut it down some more so that only a tiny bit goes over the gem. Some more shaping, and unfortunately now we stumble upon our first issue. The bezel is flexible, but it's too springy. It doesn't retain the shape of the gemstone. If I were to solder it to the back plate now, there's no way I will be able to fit the gem inside. I am work hardening it by hammering it a little, hopefully without enlarging it, because then I'd have to resize it to fit the stone again. Great, looks like the bezel fits like a glove. I'm making sure the bezel is flush with the surface. There should be no gaps. Let's solder it to the back plate. Now we have a second issue. The bezel got elevated under the heat, so I had to gently push it down to ensure it gets soldered to the backplate. Luckily, the bezel didn't lose shape because of it, but using binding wires would have made it much easier by keeping it in place. Quench and pickle. It's time to shape the wire for the necklace. I'm using a bangle mandrel here. It worked just fine for this job. I'm happy with this shape. This is what I'm going for. I want to connect it with the handmade chain. For that, I'll also use a brass wire. And another mistake. Can you tell what I did? I have sewn off the wrong side of the wire. Should have gone for the side, not the top part. You'll see in a moment why it matters. I wanted the chain to be flat against the neck, but now it may be poking it a little bit. I love making jewelry. It was my favorite hobby before becoming my full-time job, but doing the same thing sometimes may lead to burnout. To avoid it, I take short breaks to focus on another craft just for fun. This month's craft boxes are a great option to try different hobbies without breaking the bank, because you get everything you need inside the box. Detailed instructions will guide you and help you complete the project. No extra skills are required. If you're looking for fun activities that don't require investment in tools, this might be just for you. Who knows, after trying different techniques, you may discover a new hobby, like I did with embroidery. This is a perfect way to spend a relaxing evening while crafting something pretty. You can work at your own pace and take breaks. The subscription is flexible and can be paused or cancelled anytime. Start your hobby adventure today with this month's craft. I'm sure you love it as much as I do. Let's finish the bezel now. So this is the layout I'm going for, though I'm not sure if I should solder the bezel onto the wire and make it like one piece, or hang the bezel on the wire with the bail and let it move freely. I've decided to go for the second option, so I'm going to make the bail using several brass jump rings. I'll solder them together with the soldering paste. Speaking of soldering, I'm using silver solder in this project, and honestly, it wasn't visible after I finished it. Also, for some reason, the sound wasn't recorded in the rest of the clips, so I'm sorry, but we won't have the sounds of the workshop anymore today. The bail looks great on the thick wire, so I'll solder it to the bezel now. Need to make sure it's aligned in the center. And once again, I'm using a soldering paste here. You may have noticed that I'm only heating up the area I want to solder. I'm not heating up an entire piece like with silver. A little Coda break. She came to say hi and check what I'm doing. The bezel was cleaned in the pickle and is now ready for the final stages. I'm going to clean any excess solder near the bail with the sanding disc. And then I'm using a 3M bristle wheel attachment to clean it outside and a little brass brush to clean inside. Perfect, the pendant now hangs well on the wire necklace. Time to set the stone, and I warn you, this part may be a little heartbreaking, because while setting up the camera to film a close-up, it fell on the stone and cracked it. Yup. I should be happy it wasn't the camera lens that got cracked, but yeah, it still hurts. Ugh. The stone is cracked all the way. I'm lightly setting it so that I can finish this project for you in this video, but I plan to try the Japanese kintsugi technique to fix it by adding a gold dust to the epoxy resin or glue. It's a beautiful technique and I think the stone may look beautiful afterwards. Hopefully it will be salvageable. Luckily, I was making this necklace for myself and not a customer, but still, you know, this gem was an investment and I was very excited for it. It was supposed to be mine. A moment of distraction and it's cracked. It can happen, especially with labradorites, so maybe it was unavoidable, who knows. By the way, I finished the bezel with these bristle wheel attachments going through white, brown, blue, pink and green. I think it still turned out quite beautifully, wouldn't you say? What do you think of this necklace design? Let me know if you're planning on working with brass too. I'll have another brass project for you next time, and it will be a ring, and hopefully there will be less mistakes and it will be a little bit better. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!